Hashtag 401k trap script. Your employer's 401k is designed to make Wall Street rich, not you. They're charging you hidden fees that'll cost you over $500,000 by retirement, and most people have no idea it's happening. Here's exactly how to escape this trap and actually build real wealth. I'm gonna show you the 3 specific tricks they use to drain your money, and then I'll give you the exact steps to protect yourself starting today. Listen, I get it. Your HR person probably made it sound amazing. Free money. Company match. Tax benefits. But here's what they're not telling you, and honestly, most of them don't even know either. The system is rigged, and it's been rigged for decades. Let me tell you about my buddy Marcus. Good guy, works in marketing, makes solid income. He's been contributing to his 401k for 15 years. His company matches up to 3%, which sounds incredible, right? Free money? Except Marcus has no idea that the fees on his plan are eating up nearly 40% of his returns. 40%. We ran the numbers recently. If those fees had been cut in half, he'd have an extra $240,000 right now. Just sitting there. Money he already earned. But it's gone to fund some portfolio manager's yacht. Here's the thing about 401k's that makes my blood boil: they're set up to feel like they're on your team, but they're actually middlemen taking a cut at every level. And the worst part? It's all legal. It's all hidden in documents most people never read. The Department of Labor reports that the average American is paying about 0.97% in annual fees on their 401k, but some plans go way higher. Some people are paying 2% or even 3% per year. That doesn't sound like much, right? 2%? But mathematically, that's devastating. Let me show you the math, because this is insane. Say you're 30 years old, you put $7,000 a year into your 401k until you're 67. If you get an 7% average annual return with 0.97% in fees, you'll end up with about $1.23 million. But if your plan charges you 2.5% in fees, which many do, you end up with just $870,000. That's a $360,000 difference. 4 fees. Money that could have been yours, just gone. And here's the villain twist: the companies offering these 401k's get kickbacks from the investment companies managing the funds. It's called revenue sharing, and it's basically a conflict of interest that's baked into the whole system. Your employer chooses the investment company, but the investment company pays the employer for the privilege. So who are they really looking out for? Not you. The second trap is the limited menu problem. Your employer's 401k probably offers you 8 to 15 investment options. Maybe 20 if you're lucky. But there are literally thousands of investment options available in the entire market. So what happens? You're forced to pick from a limited menu, usually loaded with high-fee mutual funds. And here's the kicker: those high-fee mutual funds often underperform the market anyway. So you're paying extra for mediocrity. That's not speculation. The data is clear. According to studies from Morningstar, about 80% of active mutual funds fail to beat their low-cost index fund competitors over 15 years. You're paying premium prices for below-average results. It's like paying for premium gas when regular works just fine. The third trap is the lack of transparency. I've looked at literally hundreds of 401k plan documents, and the fee disclosure is intentionally confusing. There's the management fee, the administrative fee, the custody fee, sometimes something called a mortality and expense charge if it's through an insurance company. They break it into so many tiny percentages that nobody actually knows how much they're paying. That's deliberate. If it said clearly on your statement, your fees this year totaled $3,200, people would freak out. But it hides it in basis points and percentages, and most people just ignore it. Okay, so you know the problem. Your 401k is like being locked into a contract with a company that profits when you don't ask questions. So what's the solution? Here's what you need to do, step by step. First, check your fee structure. Go into your plan documents, I know, they're boring, and look for the expense ratio of each fund you own. If you see anything over 1%, that's too high for an index fund. Anything over 0.5% is basically admitting defeat because you can beat that with a simple, low-cost index fund available outside of your 401k. If your plan has low-cost options, usually target date funds or S&P 500 index funds under 0.20%, use those instead. Don't use whatever your HR person suggests. Do your own research. Second, max out employer match first, then stop. I know this sounds crazy, but hear me out. If your employer matches 3%, contribute enough to get that full match. That's genuinely free money, a 100% instant return, and even the worst 401k plan won't erase that benefit. But once you hit the match, stop pouring money into the 401k. Instead, open an IRA. A Roth IRA is usually better for younger people because it grows tax-free forever. Or a traditional IRA if you expect your tax rate to be lower in retirement. You can pick literally any low-cost index funds you want. You're not locked into a curated menu of expensive options. The fees are transparent. And you have actual control. Here's the numbers on this. Let's say you're 35 and you're getting a 3% match. That's about $1,800 a year if you make $60,000. Get that $1,800 match from your 401k, but put your remaining retirement savings, maybe the next $7,000 or more, into a Roth IRA where you can buy the S&P 500 index fund for 0.03% in fees instead of 1.2%. Over 30 years, that difference is enormous. We're talking hundreds of thousands of dollars. Third, if you've got a huge 401k balance already, consider rolling it to an IRA when you leave your job. Once you separate from your employer, you can do what's called a rollover IRA. You move everything out of that expensive 401k plan into your own IRA where you control the investments and the fees. This is completely legal, and it's one of the best moves you can make if your current plan is expensive. Just make sure you roll it directly employer to IRA custodian or you'll get hit with a big tax bill. Fourth, and this is controversial but important, ask your employer about the fees. Not to complain, but to get transparency. Many employers genuinely don't understand their own plans. If you can show them that they're offering funds with 1.5% expense ratios when 0.15% options exist, they might actually make changes. Companies are increasingly being sued for offering overpriced 401k plans, so HR departments are starting to pay attention. You asking questions might actually create change. The real move, though? Once you understand how this system works, you stop seeing your 401k as your primary wealth building tool. You use it strategically, get the match, then move on. Your Roth IRA is where you build real wealth because you control it completely. This isn't pessimism. This is just math. Wall Street has spent 50 years building a system that looks good on the surface: retirement savings, tax advantages, but extracts wealth through fees at every layer. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. And once you know the solution, you can actually take control. So here's what I want you to do right now. Go check your 401k plan documents. Find the expense ratios on your funds. Write down the highest one. Then comment below and tell me what it is. I want to see if you're in the trap or if you've actually got a good plan. And if you have got a good plan, comment that too. Let people know they exist. We need to push the industry toward transparency and fair fees, and that happens when people start asking questions. This stuff is the difference between retiring comfortably or running out of money. It's the difference between leaving your kids something or leaving them debt. Share this with anyone who's touched a 401k because most of them have no idea this is happening. And if you want the exact step-by-step guide for setting up a high-yield retirement strategy outside your 401k, I'll put a link below. Let's build real wealth together.